It's time to get the HP ML350 back on the bench. It's time to install Small Business Server 2003 R2. Released around 2005, it was the operating system that loads of businesses, when I was working, put in for their companies. In this video, I'm going to take you through the process of installing a second network card, actually getting Windows updates to work on Server 2003 using Legacy Update, and then installing Small Business Server 2003 onto the server. It's the first video in a series. We're going to go through each of the separate sections that were in Small Business Server because it was a package of Microsoft's core products that were sold as one bundled entity for a small business to buy, and it was hugely popular. It was really the only choice for a small business from 1998 all the way through to the end of the product line somewhere around 2012 or so. So for a massive period of my career, this server type and that operating system was the core of everything. There was Microsoft Exchange Server, there was Microsoft SQL Server, there was Microsoft Internet and Security Acceleration Server. The last two, SQL Server and ISA Server as it was known, were both part of the premium product, which was what I always installed for customers because it gave us the ability then to run the firewall on the same device rather than buying, say, a separate Sonic Wall firewall or a WatchGuard or something like that. But you needed to have two network cards in the server, one for the internal side of the network and one for the internet side of the network. And that's where this will come into the mix. This was the D-Link 530TX network card. It was the one that I always picked and used. Reasons? It worked. Other people probably used a different card, but this card worked. It was so reliable. It never ever crashed when you installed it. It never caused a blue screen. It never failed. It was ultimately a really reliable card, and it's the reason why it was the one I chose to install as the internet network card in servers. In this case here, this one is brand new in the box that I got off eBay, and I'm kind of chuffed about that. I didn't think I'd find something like that. It's never been opened, so that's going to be a bit of a special moment to reinstall one of these cards exactly as I used to do. And that's why we're going to do that part first and put it into the server. So the physical hardware is all in place before we start to do any of the changes and installation of software. Here is the network card we're going to use. Let's unbox this. I'm going to be very sort of gentle and careful with this because I feel it deserves the respect over the years that it's not actually been used since, I'm not sure. We'll see if we can find out when the manufacturing was for this. But I hadn't installed one of these for years and years. System requirements on the side we actually have here. This is being written on the side here. System requirements. Pentium 150, 32 meg of RAM. I think that probably gives you an indication of the era that these cards were from. I mean, it is a 10100 card as well. It is not a gigabit card. There is the paperwork that came with it. And the card itself. And do we get a driver disc? There we do. We get that. There it is. The driver on CD, which we can use as we have a CD in the server. And let's have a look at the card that we've got. You get these plates with them so that you could fit them into a low-rise server. So if you're, or a desktop that didn't have enough space, there was the low-rise adapter for it. There we go. Move the manual out of the way. And here we have the card. And that's it. There's your D-Link 530TX Rev C1. Okay. And we've got on board, obviously, the main chip, capacitors, and an additional header port here that we've got the cable for here. Now, we went into the manual for this and had a look. I never used that's what it was for. I never used it. This, there we go, Wake on LAN. So it's the Wake on LAN feature, which meant that if you shut down your computer but the power was still going into it and you sent a ping to the network card, it would wake the machine back up and actually switch it on so it responded. Wake on LAN. They call it a magic packet. That was the name of the magic packet. it was really some voltage coming down the wire, as you would expect, and that enabled the card to respond to it and wake up. So this is going to be installed into the PCI slot into the server, and we're going to use the Ethernet interface here for, I can never get this right. I'm terrible at this bit. It's because everything's in reverse when you do this to the camera. It's really hard to learn it in reverse. I should practice more. But here, yes, Ethernet is going in this side. Now, in my home network, that's going to go into my home network and pick up an IP address that will allow it to connect to the internet. The LAN side of the server, which is what's currently being connected to the internet, isn't going to do that. That's going to be on its own little network. And my intention at some point, once we've installed Small Business Server, is to connect one of the laptops I've rebuilt to it on that side to simulate being in an office network with internet on the other side. Right, let's get over to the server and physically put this into the chassis. The side's off the HP, and we're going to install the card into this slot here. So that's going to be this one here, I think. Let's see. That's right, there we go. Let's put that into place. There. And then you clip that back over the top there. Always a pleasure to fit a card into a server like this, because it was designed for you as the engineer to be able to quickly change components, resulting in less downtime for the customer. I'm going to stick the side back on, and we're going to connect up the cables at the rear and then get the server booted up. We have the external network card here that is going to connect to my switch over there. This is going to act as the internet connection on the Small Business Server and will connect to my home network. This is the LAN connection on the Small Business Server. This is going to have a static IP address and will only connect to specific devices that I connect to this server. And in that way, we can replicate how a Small Business Server would have operated in an office back in the mid-noughties. On the 2003 server booted up now, it would be good if we could actually use Windows Update on this server and go through the process of doing the updates as I would have done. And there is a tool for this. It's called Legacy Update. And you can see on the screen now, I'm showing you the website for this. And it's a tool that's been created by some of those wonderful people that do this kind of thing to enable you to still update older operating systems, Windows XP, Windows 2000, Windows 2003 Server, 95, 98, NT4, etc. So you can go onto this site and download this and install it and try it out yourself if you're running these in virtual machines or you've got retro PCs and laptops like I do. Let's go through the process of setting this up now. And as you can see, it's already recognized. We've got Server 2003 Service Pack 2 to go on, the agent updates, and this is the key part here, root certificate updates. So that is the SSL certificates that talk over HTTPS. That's a lot of what was broken and why updates won't work and why you can't launch a web page using Internet Explorer on the server. We're going to include activating Windows as well and the legacy update to get all of the Windows updates. So let's get that installed. As you can see already, it's downloading the service pack. So it's been able to communicate straight away. So a lot of what's going on here is to do with expiration of SSL certificates that run in the background when updates are done. And this has worked its way around that. People have probably, I guess what they've done is probably provided the modern certificates that are available now so that this can connect in the background. Probably going to take a few minutes, so let's skip past this. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. Service pack's down. Agent is down. So installation is starting. It's going to be a little while this service pack completes. We're now at the point where we can actually activate Windows. Let's see if we can do it over the internet. That would be pretty cool if we could. Now, normally this would just bin out. And it's done the same thing now. It's still dropped out. So that doesn't work. Okay, well, what about giving it a go to do Windows Update? Let's see. Legacy Update. Now that's more like it. So you can see here that Legacy Update running off its own website there. That's not the Microsoft address, but it's giving you the experience of running Windows Update. So in a moment, it's going to finish the categorization on this and tell us what we're missing off the server for where it would have been at this point in time. We're at the moment, I think we should be Service Pack 2. Yes, 2003 Small Business Server Service Pack 2 is where we're at the moment. So now we're going to see what's missing from that part to where it would have been all patched up. I've been watching the update for a while and it hasn't gone as fast as it did when I did it on a Windows XP computer. In fact, XP had updates on screen within about 5 minutes, which was normal. This has been over an hour and nothing's changed. So I thought I'd have a dig into log files. I always used to love finding log files and see what you can spot and understand the process of maybe what's going on. Now in this case, in Windows, it's actually the Windows update log that's being written to by Legacy Update because it's sharing components. So we have a look at the update log. I'll bring this right down to the bottom, to the time now. And here's when I last restarted the service, and down here is what's sort of been going on now. And it's sort of showing me automatic updates, notification timeout, automatic updates isn't configured yet, it's not configured, no cached features found, delayed initialization. I don't 100% know what that means, but my thinking is, and from a bit of Googling and Reddit searching, the legacy update can take a long time on a server compared to XP. And one person on Reddit said it took them 6 hours to get the list of updates. And I don't know if this is true or not. And this is one of the things that you'd find in IT. You didn't know whether something you read from someone else's experience was relevant or not until you tried it. Luckily, time is not pressing upon me. And so we can do this. I'm going to let it run tonight while I go and do some other stuff and watch TV and whatnot. I'm going to let it run and run and run and see whether it finds the update catalog. And then I can report back to you guys with whether we can actually update this or not. One of the good things we can do is we can manually update it. We can go into the download center. I can quickly show you that. We can go here to download center and I can pick any of these links to bigger updates for the products and install them. So that aspect of things is working. So I suspect this is probably working too, but I'm just going to have to be really patient with it and keep checking the log file like I'm doing at the moment and seeing if I can see anything that changes down here with the time. Nothing's changed the last 5 minutes or so. So it'll be fun to find out. Anyway, it'd be an absolute bonus if we can get Windows Update to work. All the legacy updates took a while, probably about 4 reboots and about another hour, but good news. I should have captured this, I didn't, but here it is. I was able to activate Windows 2003 online using the wizard once I'd installed all the updates. That's a really cool thing that you can do. You don't need to have to keep resetting the grace period or try and use the telephone. You can actually update the product. Time to start installing Small Business Server 2003. The first thing I've done is a little change to the network cards. I'll take you through that now before we run the installation. Probably easier to bring this up in Control Panel and Network Connections. That's the external D-Link card we fitted earlier. So I've renamed it to external. And that's still using DHCP for its IP address. So that's picking up an IP address that is on my home Wi-Fi network. And we can see that here. These address sets here. And that means it's got internet access, which is actually how I'm connected to it now. I'm coming in using RDP through this. The other card, the onboard card, I've renamed to internal. And on this one, I have set up a classic static IP address 192.168.10.1. No default gateway, because the default gateway is done through the other card. And it's going to need to use itself as DNS because it's going to install Active Directory. It's going to install DNS, and therefore it needs to look back at itself for that. And it will install DHCP and chuck DHCP out on this address range, which will probably cause me a bit of a glitch when that actually kicks in. I've got a funny feeling it won't start because it is connected physically to the same LAN network, the same layer 2 network on the Ethernet. So there's a good chance it will see the packets of DHCP coming from my Google Home router and likely switch off the DHCP service or say that there's another DHCP server on the network and therefore it can't start, which is fine. We want that. Because any device that's going to connect to the LAN side of this SBS, I'm going to be doing manually with static IP addresses in order that I can continue to treat the external card as if it was the internet. Okay. I have mounted the first CD of Small Business Server 2003, as you can see here, and we're going to set up the server. This was, again, a process that became almost second nature, but I haven't done for quite some time. I probably haven't done that now. In this version, probably 20 years, 2000, well, yeah, 20 years, 17 years, something like that. 2008 SBS was a very, very popular product, but that was not yet released. We are working here as if we were around 2005. So 2003 R2 version would have been the one. Here we are. Let's get that center screen. Now, it wants an internal domain, and SBS would run on a local domain. So it suggested NT to now, NT to now. I've got no reason not to go with those, actually. They seem like fairly decent defaults for what we want to be able to do. Identify which networks are which. This is our local network adapter. I'll try and get away with not disconnecting that, because that's actually how I'm connected to this for the purposes of making the video. But we will see whether it allows me to. Here we go. It's found DHCP. There's only one that can exist. I can choose no. Do I want to install the DHCP by small business server? I'm going to choose no this time, because we don't need to have it. When I put this in for a customer, we very much would have needed to. Those are the details we're keeping for the IP address. Password that we want. Very simple password for the purposes of what we're doing. There's no need to put a complex password in, because this is never going to be in production. And away it goes. I believe, if I remember right, it's going to do a little bit now, and then it's going to ask me a few more questions with regard to Exchange Server and other features that I want to choose before actually rolling through the full installation. This is like a pre-configuration before the actual full installation that's there under Server Applications Installation. Now it wants the disk, and of course it's pointing to path A. These things always throw you back. Path A hadn't been used for years and years, and here it is wanting a floppy disk when clearly it's after a CD. D is the path. There we go. It's funny when Microsoft left things like that. Clearly a leftover, a colon, not even a backslash. Always used to make you think, how old's this bit of code? I think a lot of the prep it's doing here is being ready for it to become a domain controller and have DNS installed. A restart for that so that Active Directory services can be used. We're at the stage of Active Directory being installed now. What we can do is, while we're here, is have a quick look at, not search. I'll have a look at search, that's not going to help us. No, all we want is computer management to come up and have a look at the event log, see what's going on. There's a lot of stuff happening at the moment. Services being started and installed. And what else have we got here? Yep. Performance counters being installed. You can't see that window now. I guess is it hidden underneath? Server's pushing itself too hard to redisplay that now. It's gone slightly quiet. Back at the actual console, because the issue with the installation was it was stuck at the domain configuration. DC Promo was running as a task, but it wouldn't go any further. I left it for a long time and nothing happened. And I worked out what the reason was, is that we don't have DNS Server installed. And you can add DNS Server in add and remove programs here. In Windows, it doesn't require SBS installation to add that. It's a feature of the operating system. But the problem I've run myself into is I have created a mismatch of service pack files and original installation source, and I'll show you that now. So we go down to network services and we go and try and add DNS, and as you can see, 1.7 megabytes, it's tiny. So it should be a quick install and away you go. But we're going to run into a problem. And it's going to show itself on the screen now. What it's going to want to do is find the original source files for Windows 2003 in order to add them and install this component, but it's going to get confused. It wants the 2003 business CD-ROM. Now I've got that. The CD-ROM is here. That's the original CD-ROM. So if we point it to the i386 directory, that contains cache.dn_, which needs to be expanded. That's the file unexpanded. So it's clearly there, but it won't accept it. And this is because I've installed Service Pack 2, and now Windows has got itself in a state where it doesn't know what the original source files are. So I can browse to a local copy of Service Pack 1 and Service Pack 2 mixed together, and there is the cache file. Try that? No, not going to have that. So we're in a stuck situation here where we can't install DNS server, which means we can't promote it to an Active Directory controller, which means we can't install small business server. Been through this for a little while before making this bit of the video. And the simple answer to this is, you got to quit and start again. You can go at this a long time, and likelihood is you won't fix it. This was something that cropped up a lot in my career, and I, to be honest, would always try and fix it. And then my business partner, my MD, would come in and say, you need to stop and start again, because sometimes you've got to cut your losses and stop wasting your time and learn to know when it's better to go back and start again. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the recovery from Veritas again, as you've seen in one of my previous videos. And if you haven't watched that video, go back, look through the list. You'll see where I do a full recovery using Veritas backup. I'm going to do that now. It's going to take us back to where we were. And the first thing I'm going to do in the next video is install DNS server. And if we can install DNS server from the start, I'm going to start the installation of small business server with no service packs. And we'll do the service packing afterwards. Okay, let's get on. Back to starting again I go. This was the thing with real physical hardware. You couldn't use a snapshot like you would use in a virtual machine, which was to come in a few years' time. You had to restart the whole process again, which is what I'm doing now. I've learned, don't mix and match your service packs. Let's go back, try this again, install straight from Service Pack 1, and then do any patching that needs to be done afterwards. Hope you can give me a like and a subscribe on the videos. I'm starting to grow the channel, and I've got a few subscribers coming on now, which is really great. And I've got lots more interesting stuff to come. So I'll catch you on the next one.